you have questions about it.
What page are you on?
Yeah. Sorry, page 9.
Okay.
Number 1.
So is this where, like, if they're putting up their garage, it'll block them in
Um,
for the flow of the ducts?
maybe, hey, you know what? Let's talk about these when we do the samples.
Okay.
How about that? Because then it'll be, we'll like real life apply
Hold
it.
this
So
page up.
we'll kind of skip these 8 points. It'll be on page 9 and 10. We'll come back to those. So the other thing I want to touch on a little bit, I don't know that this is super common, but it does come up, especially in financial hardship, but Zoning Enabling Act talks about self-created hardships, which is where the applicant did something to the land or to the buildings that created the issue. So whenever there's a self-created hardship, that they do not qualify for a variance because they created the issue.
Can you put me on that?
Yeah. So, okay, let me think about this one. Let's say I buy 3 parcels in the village of Blissfield and I build a house and a garage, and then I sell off a parcel and I want to now expand my house and I want to reduce setback. I created that hardship because I sold off that property, that parcel. Had I retained it, I could have met the setback, let's say. I could have met the setbacks.
Could have combined it to your original plan.
Correct. Assuming I originally met setbacks, which we are here. So that would be, I created the issue by selling that off to my neighbor, so he had a bigger yard. And now I'm coming to you asking for a variance when really I didn't need it in the first place, had I just retained that property.
Gotcha.
Or if you owned a lot and you split part of it off and sold it. Same thing.
Or, let's say, I mean, that would be the most common one, but, I think what else.
Somebody really can't build something per se and say, try to ask for forgiveness afterwards, can they?
They should not, no.
That should have been caught before it got to this part, so that,
Yes, yeah, and that should have been, they should have got a permit.
Right, that's what
That's
that should have,
there's a whole nother, yeah.
yeah.
So if we have a
I'm
variance
sure
comes to us, then we would know that that has happened and we'd say no.
Yes, yeah, we would, that would be part of our.
Yeah, you would find
Yes,
that
we would say no.
out. Yes, we'd say no, you said yes.
Yeah, that would be, and we would actually advise the applicant before they even got to you, like, hey, this is a self-created hardship, but you will not qualify. Technically, we can't say you can't apply, but we would remind them your money for the application is non-refundable, like this is a condition, so they would know before you even come.
It possibly would stop it right there. possibly.
Yes, and it does, yes.
Okay.
And then the zoning ordinance, I guess just, it's attempting to regulate everybody. So that's why we have variances, because we know we're setting a general regulation for the whole community. There's no possible way to think of every single scenario or our zoning ordinance would just be, it'd be stupid, like you would be.
If this happened, yeah.
Right, so that's why we have variances, but. So then I gave a couple hypotheticals, just, I guess maybe this will help with the self-created too. Right, so ABC company buys property in the village and they want to construct a sign that is larger than allowed by ordinance. They're seeking a dimensional variance for the sign. Is that self-created hardship?
Yes. No. I don't know. Right then.
So I kind of put already, if you read it, it's not, so the only thing they did was buy the property.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with it, so yeah.
Right, they may seek a variance for it. So people have said, or you could hear somebody say, well, they bought the property and they should have known the ordinances. Well, yeah, they probably should have done their due diligence, but they didn't change the property, they didn't adjust it, so it is not a self-created hardship. Like, we encourage due diligence, we encourage you to come talk to us, but that would not qualify. John Smith owns a single lot with a house on it, but later splits the lot and wants to construct a new house on the new lot in violation of setbacks. So this is the example I just gave.
Yeah.
Yes, this is because he could have met setbacks had he not split the lot.
Gotcha.
Now, let's say the ordinance, he split the lot and the ordinance is changed. And it would have been in compliance before the ordinance changed, but isn't after the change, then he could apply because he didn't create it, the zoning ordinance amendment created it. So that's something else to keep in mind. Yes, yes,
It would all be included in your set, but I would hope.
yes, yeah,
I mean, not taking anything, I mean, not being critical of anything, but there are instances, I'm sure, and the MML's probably ran through it before, where there hasn't been a smooth transition of knowledge from one person to another when someone leaves, and then that information may not be transferred, and you may not know about it.
yeah, and that's the other thing, it's in the staff report if it's known, if it's something that happened
Right.
that we have no knowledge of, obviously, we have no knowledge, and we can't include that in there, but we're gonna be.
And there's protection for the village in our, somewhere, I would think, to protect our village employees and boards from
Yeah, we do have.
acting in the wrong way when they didn't know.
And really in that case, like, we do have liability coverage, but let's say you guys have, let's say this, you guys approve or don't approve a variance that then goes to court. The court's just gonna overturn your ruling. They're not gonna like come after you personally. They're just gonna come back and be like, you guys messed up. You should not have approved this. They don't meet these findings and you negatively impacted this person. Potentially, the village is gonna have to fund the removal of the garage that shouldn't have been built or something if we made a mistake and messed up, but that's really the extent of, they're not gonna like charge us criminally or come after us individually. They're just gonna try to do whatever would kind of make that right or fix it. So I did put just findings of fact health, use your ordinance standards as a checklist. Again, we include this in the staff report. I think just being direct about and clear what those findings are. Denials are only require a failure of one of the standards where approval requires all of the to be met. And then provide your answers and reasons. Again, yes, because. And I know that this is weird, especially when you're sitting up here and you're trying to think, but it is important for us to do that. So then I did put some motions, which I'm not gonna really talk about too much, because again, you can do conditions, you can deny or just approve the application. Variances do run with the land, they're not personal to the owner. So no matter how many times that ownership changes, that variance stays with the property. So it does not need to be reapplied for every time somebody buys that property, because a lot of times when they get a variance, it's tied to a structure or something permanent that's in place.
Go back to your motions real quick. So we're talking about this motion in the affirmative.
Yes.
So if it's affirmative, is it affirmative that we deny the motion?
Okay, so if you're denying, you would make a motion to deny based on the findings of fact not being met. And this is where before you make a motion, you should be going through those findings of fact first, because then you're gonna know if it's gonna be approved or not. Because really, those are what tell us, they're all, if they meet all of them, you should be approving no matter what your personal feelings are. If they don't meet any one of them or combination, they should be denied.
So is that what your yes vote actually means to no, or are you voting against it? You want to deny this? Yes, I want to deny this.
Correct. You would say yes in that case, because you're making a motion to not deny based on the findings not being satisfactorily met.
And don't just let it die on the floor with no motion.
Right. Otherwise, it could just continue coming back up. And if they don't meet the findings. So that's why specifically with zoning or variances, you should have some kind of motion. And you shouldn't be saying yes because, like, I move to approve if the findings aren't met.
Say that part again.
You should not be making a motion to approve the variance if the findings weren't met.
It's, okay, gotcha, yes.
Okay, so then I did some sample applications. I hope you can read my chicken scratch here. So I did just the application, just so you could kind of see it. Obviously, you have no staff report with this, so it makes it a little bit more challenging because normally you would have a lot more information in front of you. And we're not really asking for approval on any of these, but this is where I really wanted to talk about the findings. I use scenarios that I myself have been part of the application process, just so I could have some kind of real life experience to tie it to. But, so the first application, they are, sorry. They're wanting to apply for a variance to reduce setbacks for a garage that they want to build. So on page 21, I think probably the site plan is going to be the one that helps you the most. They've got, this is their street side here, and their home sits here, and this is the new garage that they want to build. And actually, they want to build this garage because their old garage, it was really old and deteriorated, and it caught fire and burned down. And they couldn't even park their truck in it. So they're looking for a property line adjustment for the sideline here to their neighbor. So in this case,
So instead of 20 feet, they want 17 feet. Like,
right, and then they want to reduce on the side here as well.
outside, yeah.
So they do have an alley on the back property, and they have a grade change here too. So from the house, like kind of the backyard here to here, I think I put the difference in that, is about 4 feet higher. So it's not just a flat yard back there. The alley itself sits 4 feet higher than their yard. So they can't easily like do a garage or something off of that. So if we have this application in front of us, and again, normally you have a full staff report and all kinds of other things, but based on the information you have in the site plan, would you say that there are special conditions that are peculiar about this land that would not apply generally to other land properties around it? And you understand, it burned down.
Burn.
The special condition be the alley.
I think there's a couple special conditions in this case. So yes, I think the alley, because that's, okay, so that would be one of my questions, is if I didn't know that the alley was 4 feet higher, I would say, you have a public alley right of way, why couldn't you put the garage in your backyard and meet setbacks? Because they're not gonna be able to drive into it because of that 4 feet in grade difference and the limited space that they have. So I think that's one of them. It's not probably normal that somebody, one, that they have a back alley that's public access anyway, two, that it's that significant of a grade change in a short distance. And this again is where I say you can make it up, which is not my favorite term. I gotta think of a better way, but this is where like you kind of have to get a little bit creative and try to, and I say get creative, but like this, you could find anything, but think of it like practically, if this was your property, what would be a challenge for you if you wanted a garage that you could park your truck in? Like, what would be your challenges?
But that seems like our history is we've really fought hard to skew it to make it
Well,
happen, right? Because obviously you want to try to work with. the
yes,
public.
I do think,
So are we being a little
I
bit
do
too
agree with
creative?
that. We should not, yes, I do agree with that.
So this,
And it should not be financial too. Like, I can't come, or I shouldn't. I mean, our ordinance specifically says it's zoning enabling. I come to you and I'm like, well, this is the cheapest way for me to do it, tough luck. That's not a reason to get a variance, and it should be not. Financial hardship is not, it's, in fact, it specifically says if it's just due to financial reasons, and that's where I think in the past, like,
Well, the garage was already there, right? What's the big deal with putting it there?
They want it bigger.
right, they're increasing the size, because they couldn't even park their truck in it before it burned down.
Okay.
So they're making it a little bit bigger.
The little dotted lines are what's the existing garage.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so,
what caused the fire? The need for a bigger garage? Or-
They didn't charge them with arson, so.
Well, could you technically say, well, you've got a 10-foot right distance here, you have room for a driveway to go back and build your garage?
You could, yes.
Just because it was on the side.
Yeah, it looks to me like he has more than 10 feet
Can
between.
we put the garage behind the house?
Yeah.
Mhm. And come in on the left side.
So it's distance between buildings to be 10 feet.
Yeah, so it is 10 feet between the two buildings, so I don't know what it is from the building to that line.
Does that include overhang or is it wall?
That includes overhang.
It's soffit. like
Yes, yep,
True edge.
yes, that's true edge. Which
good thing.
we require now, or we did in Rollins, we were here too, right?
We've had that before. People.
This is a Rollins
Stop at
area,
the garage,
but-
like, straight across
But
to
then,
do an addition on their house.
Okay.
but you're saying to put the garage back here,
Yeah. it would
but
be-
isn't there like a drop in distance?
Yeah, well, the grade, because back here is 4 feet higher than the yard.
Okay, gotcha.
So how would they get back to the drive? Or how would they get back?
They would have to drive through
Yeah.
here, they have
There.
to build, right, do a
Yeah.
driveway and go back between the house.
Okay, so that would be their drive into there. But
And
they
I don't
wanna
know
do
what,
that.
I don't know, we probably had it, but when I
If
created.
they don't wanna
this-
do that. They want it where it initially was, they just want, and they want it bigger.
Right, because they're wanting to use the existing foundation probably, I'm assuming. That's there, the concrete pad, and just expand it a little bit so then they can hold their truck.
So what's the problem?
There, you could justify that it's non-conforming now, but they're making it more non-conforming. Because
How is it non-conforming
because
now?
your setback lines are,
Right, so they're rebuilding outside, so if he rebuilt it, or she, whoever. His was, I'm just gonna say he, if he rebuilt it in the exact footprint, it's not, he could do that, because it was non-conforming, it burnt down, which. It was not,
How
like
is
he
it
tore it
non-conforming?
down,
Begin, what am I missing here? He's not.
because you're
conforming.
20-foot setback
correct,
on the side.
So what is?
so
It was
he,
non-conforming to begin with.
because he had 0 setback on the side and he had 17 in the rear. And he should have had 20 and 5, so he was non-conforming before. So, and he's asking to, I actually think he was 2 feet from the property line on the side. And he's going to 0 feet and 17, so he's creating a larger non-conformity. He can
Understand.
do, if he built in the same footprint, he doesn't even have to come for a variance, because
Gotcha.
that would be allowed. But he's asking to
Okay.
increase it.
Okay.
So can he can't park his truck in there because the roof is not high enough?
No, the garage was not wide enough for his truck to go be parked in there.
Get a smaller truck.
So technically could increase the height of the structure too.
The height did not increase, yes. But yes, you're right, and so it meets height requirements, the only variances are the side setback and the rear.
So it's a one-car garage.
It's a 1-car garage.
You could.
Yeah.
You could, and then.
So- And Gwen, I agree, you could get a different truck,
Oh, no.
but that to me would not be
No,
it'd be,
no.
because people should be able to reasonably use their property, and today's trucks are 22 feet or what,
Like,
like,
you never put a truck in my garage. Yeah, this truck.
Well,
not
you have a two-car
garage when there's no light too.
Well, fit, okay, I don't know.
The things you're seeing is a 17-foot setback, and then you're right on the line on this. So
Those are the 2 variances that they're asking for, yes. They're both setback.
So that 17 should technically be 20. This is. He wants to take this other side. of the garage.
No.
Yeah,
This is
that's
just
actually
like.
like,
Okay, got it.
But from here to here, that's gonna be the rear property line. This setback requirement is 20 feet.
And it's a new building.
Which it was already, it was old. So this dotted line here, the old in here, correct. So this is where
Right,
we're,
but he meets his
For very-
10-foot separation here.
Okay.
And this is non-conforming existing and will stay he's not changing the non-conformity here, he's changing it here.
That's
So he wants to go right to his property.
here with the building.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, with the overhang, so the
Yeah.
overhang will be fully on his property.
Who's gonna mow that?
It's his property, so he'd have to.
Alright. How's neighbor feel about it?
The neighbors signed up, the neighbors doesn't care, all the neighbors said they're good with it, they don't care.
If the neighbor was against it, said it's only 17 8,
30.
I don't like it.
Right.
That you would use that as justification for development.
You can't, yes. You can't factor, any comments you receive can be factored in.
it's supposed to be 30, so he's asking you to reduce it to 21.
Oh. Okay, so ask our questions again, what do you want to know?
Okay, so I wanna know what special condition or circumstances that are peculiar to this that are not to other properties. I'm paraphrasing that one, but
The fact that it's
It's
the original garage is not conforming to the.
I would not say that that's something peculiar.
well, I would say the peculiar part is the existing drive
The things that I would say are peculiar
here. Yeah.
is, one, the alley is 4 feet higher, so it's not realistic to expect them to then drop their driveway down. The other thing I would say is peculiar is their property jogs here and creates kind of a narrow pathway here. And because this cutout corner is actually their neighbor's yard that pops into theirs, that I would also say that's something peculiar. Most of the time when you have a lot, it's gonna be a, right,
Yeah.
a
So that,
common
even though
square.
this has to do with the neighbors, that can still be a peculiar.
Right, because it's his
Yeah,
property is jogged over because of it. Now, if his property went straight up and over, he wouldn't need the rear setback.
So that's.
He wouldn't, or he'd have more clear access to his backyard to build a garage farther back and meet setbacks.
Even though you can still get a vehicle between the corner of that indentation in his lot line and the backside.
So
of the house.
if he took this garage at the same size to fit his truck and it literally only fit his truck and moved it back here, he would still need a variance for setbacks based on the property size. I don't have that in front of me, but I do remember that. Because that is something that we talked about. So that's a really good point, though. That's where you guys go back and lean on the applicant to say what's peculiar. And you say, and then he says, well, I've got this jog here. Then you say, well, why couldn't you put your driveway back there? Well, I could do that, but if I take this garage and move it, I'm still gonna have to ask for a side and variance. So no matter where I move that on my property, I need a.
So that's, I understand what you're saying about the push. Why do you need this?
Why can't they just attach the garage to the house?
They could, and then it would be completely different setbacks, but then they have a whole nother slew of requirements and things too, so.
What if you needed more information? For instance, I don't see an overall lot depth.
So that's, it is the applicant's job to provide
I mean,
that.
because my question would be is that very same thing. If you could take that and turn it and set it here, why wouldn't that work? But without the dimensions to add up and then do some subtraction and some other, to know whether it would actually fit back there.
And normally we require that, where it lists the full dimension. I actually think it was on here and cause I cut this and like tried to steal it and then I think it cut it off.
Okay.
But
Because-
that's where you ask the applicant, you can also postpone a decision, you can tell
Right.
the applicant like, this is the information, we need these things to act on this, and then it can come back to you.
I like that idea.
Yes, you can, I don't love that idea,
Why?
because statutorily, you do have some very specific deadlines.
Yeah, you gotta
So,
publish and.
yes, and if you postpone, you have to do another public hearing, there's. I'm not telling you not to,
Not do it.
I'm just saying that would not be my go-to thing.
Well, that would be what I would do.
Don't we have to resend all of our filters and everything?
Yeah,
It's just
yes.
we've had to do this once with once
Yes,
before.
because we have to put them on notice of the new meeting date, we have to publish it, and then I think it's 45 days from, if you postpone, it has to be acted on within 45 days, and you can only postpone once under state.
What if they don't have the answers? We ask
Then
questions.
you have to deny it.
It's
If they can't answer your questions or you don't have the information you need to meet these findings, then you deny it.
Yeah, don't postpone.
Do first.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so number 2 is the literal interpretation of the provisions of this ordinance applied under these circumstances have created or will create practical difficulties in the applicant's use of the land, building, and structures. This one I feel like is fairly straightforward. So it's just asking you guys, if you do not grant this variance, does it prevent that property owner from using their land in a practical way? They're not asking you to do some crazy off the wall thing where they launch spaceships off the property. Like it's something a normal person would do. A normal person would buy a pickup truck and intend to drive it. And use that. So they're not asking for something crazy. So again, that one's usually, I feel like, fairly straightforward. That the conditions are not a result of the actions of the applicant. And this goes back to that self-created hardship. Did they do something that created this issue? Did they fell off their property?
What if they sell this piece of property back here to the neighbor?
Yes, if they did that, it would be a self-created hardship, like then you shouldn't have sold that off because then you could have met your setbacks. Okay,
Then we would have that information,
yes,
as long as we have the information available.
correct.
If that's something that we could ask.
Yeah,
about.
absolutely.
Did you
Yeah.
previously own that? Why is that
Yeah, you
that
can
way? Did you
ask
previously?
them, again, they have the burden, so that, and you can tell them, like, I don't know how to answer this. How are you justifying that you meet this requirement? I mean, it can be as point blank as that, because again, they know, we told them. You have the burden of proof, here's the findings.
What if they had purchased that property? Instead of,
So let's say
something-
I
say that
split
corner-
that corner
Yeah.
off and then I sold it to Maddie. It is not now because she didn't create it.
Right.
I did, and then I sold it. So it's not a self-created hardship because she bought the property. She probably didn't even know that was once part of the property. Okay, 4 is that the variance is the minimum variance. So let's say that in this application, that this person, they've got to their front setback here. Is supposed to be 30 feet, right? And they're only 21 and they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna come all the way up and I only need 5 feet. And then they've got 50 feet in the rear. That's not the minimum because the rear setback's 20 feet, so you could push it back 20 feet. Meet the rear and then only have a variance for the front. So that's all it's asking is, are they asking for more than they truly need? In this case or any other case. Or like we talked about, I think the height of the garage. So I think you guys had an application that came to you, they wanted to increase the height of the garage so that they could park a vehicle in it. Well, if their vehicle, I don't know, they're doing a, remember what size door they were doing. Let's say they're doing a 10-foot door so that they can drive the pickup truck in there, but they ask you for a 30-foot tall building. Is that the minimum variance to meet what they need? No, because they've already said, we're putting a 10-foot door and we just want to park our truck. So then we're not gonna give you an extra 20 feet just because it looks stupid, but that's another conversation. So then the 5th one is really 4 parts. So it's asking that if it will be in harmony with the ordinance, it will not be injurious and to the neighborhood or detrimental to the public welfare. And then it kind of specifically is asking you, does it impair adequate supply of light or air to adjacent properties? And again, these for the most part, I feel like are fairly obvious or self-explanatory. Does it unreasonably increase congestion on public streets? So if they're doing something that's going to create a burden on public streets, that can be factored in. Does it increase the danger of fire or endanger public safety? So let's say this example I gave you guys, that he says, I'm gonna store a bunch of, gas cans in here. And he's asking for a 0 side setback. You could say that does endanger fire or public safety, because what happens when this garage explodes and has all these flammables in there and you have 0 set putback from your neighbor and that fire encroaches on their property. So that could be an argument, or on the flip side, that could be a condition. We'll grant you this variance for a 0 foot setback, but you have to have any flammables, like no more than 3 gas cans, or any flammables that are gonna be stored have to be inspected annually by the fire department. Anything that they can reasonably accomplish. I'm making things up, but really, anything, because you're saying, and the whole, especially when it's tied to life safety, you can put conditions all day long. And then does it diminish or impair established property values? So him building this garage, instead of having a burnt down piece of crap, is not gonna diminish. In fact, having a nice garage or a garage that can be parked in probably helps. So again, that one I feel like is fairly straightforward. So application number 2 or sample number 2.
Can we go back there?
Yeah.
So I'm number, no, it's okay. On the, I understand that all 8 have to be found to be true for the affirmative. So let's say it's number 5, and we believe that it does impair the established property value. This is what Bill is saying. We're gonna say, yes. It does.
Okay. No, your
Yeah.
answers to the findings are backwards from what you logically want to think. So technically, when you read C, you should actually read 5C. So it should be that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purposes and intent of this ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental, included but not limited to increase the danger of fire. So it's saying it will be in harmony and will not increase danger. So you have to read it as a whole. So then you would say yes, because it does not do those things, because, and then you would state whatever reason it's not going to do that. And that's where when you say the because is just whatever your reason or justification is. So, it could be that, yes, because we are considering placing a restriction or a condition on this, or yes, because the applicant has indicated that they will not store flammable material, and in order to ensure that doesn't happen, we're gonna propose a special condition that the fire department annually inspects the property, or whatever it is.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Got you there. All right, thank you.
Okay, so application 2, they're wanting a variance to install a freestanding sign. It's 14 feet in height at the property line, and the ordinance only allows for 12 feet at the property line, so they're wanting an additional 2 feet. And if you go to page 26, you've got ABC Company's site plan here. This is the street side down here, and they've got their driveway entrance, their building sits back here. They've got some landscaping and things, and they want to do a freestanding sign up front here. And I helped you guys here. I put this location would comply with code. Normally on an application, we were not going to have that, because I'm the applicant, I'm not gonna tell you I can comply with code. But because you have no staff report and limited information, I made this one fairly easy for you. So,
Question would be, what would you gain by moving the sign that much closer to the street?
well, then everybody can see it, and that's where I can afford to do it. There's electrical there, so it's just cheaper for me.
Just. I want the Rex question.
It's not his application, no. It was unfamiliar with that one. No.
Yeah. That's where we want Maddie or us to open our ordinance very well, because there are situations that they're about height increasing. Back.
So I put this Maddie's not gonna draw that they could be compliant here, but she's going to put in her staff report things about the current ordinance, that if they moved it, they could move it back 2 feet and be in compliant, like she's going to notate those things. Ultimately, Maddie doesn't get a say. She can just give you the facts and then you guys have to go through the findings. So to me, this one is number one. Are there conditions or circumstances which are peculiar to this land? So is there something so unique about this property that they would require a variance? That does not apply, no other property is gonna have
If
this.
it's not.
Just looking at this, I'd say, no, I don't know what's over here that might be blocking the view of the sign, or there might be blocking the sign. I would say, based on this, there's nothing. You.
Yeah, I tried to make this one blatantly
Okay,
obvious.
yeah, no,
For you
we're right.
guys.
We're right,
So,
we're past the part of that quiz, yeah.
yeah, we're assuming, Bill, that nothing blocks the sign view there, it's just a square piece of property. But my electrical is there, that's where I wanna put it. But I have no other reason than that's what's convenient for me than to meet the code. So I guess my point is, if this came to you guys and you answer no to one, no, because you're done.
Yeah.
You don't even, now, you should go through, just, I will, that'd be a good idea, but the fact that they failed number one, they should be denied. Even if they meet all of the other conditions.
Gotcha.
Devil's
It's
advocate,
really not.
if the neighboring quote businesses are non-compliant and say they have a sign in the same area as they're requesting, could we take that into account? It's
No.
not peculiar to their land, but we're trying to
You
bring them into compliance.
So
Right.
in that case, if we're saying that's how every other sign is and we're good with it, we should be amending our ordinance, not granting a variance. Any other nonconformity, like to a neighbor or any in the surrounding area, doesn't get factored into your variance here. But if we're okay with it, we make our own ordinances. So if that one location works for us, where the whole community's good, and we just amend it and allow it. Because variances should be the exception, not the rule.
Which, again, building height, we've gone back to the drawing board, said we're getting a lot of these variance requests. Maybe we
Right,
should
and
revisit.
we increased that in the new zoning, because we're like, we probably said it was 14 feet in height forever ago, and vehicles are larger today. Like our residents wanted to be higher, because that's the other thing, like we're here for them, so if our community saying we're good with this, then.
So what do we do at the moment of these ABCs? We say we're gonna change our ordinance or and hold off, or
So that depends on you guys. If that was truly the case and you had non-conformity, I would deny the variance because you have to act on it within so many days. And then if you truly are wanting to look at that, they either one can comply immediately with the ordinance, or two, they can wait for that zoning ordinance to be amended. But we're not going to expedite, or I shouldn't say expedite, we want to work with them, but we're not gonna partially do an amendment or push it through really fast just for one person. We would, like, if I'm amending an ordinance, or you guys, like, we would be thoroughly looking at the whole section. And then we would have to do our 15-day publication. We would have to have a public hearing and have to get published before it went into effect. So their options would be comply or wait, but that would be up to them. We wouldn't tell them or dictate what they do. We would just say, here's your choices. You kind of do what you want from there.
We wouldn't say, we'll give it a variance, but we're also going to review our policy and change it. We wouldn't do that.
You should not, because they've not met the conditions. So if they've not met the conditions, again, it should be denied, because what happens is, what if you grant it because we're gonna amend our ordinance, and then let's say council changes, because we did that in October, and we had an election, and I take the zoning ordinance amendment and it fails. And then that goes to court, well, they didn't meet the conditions, so the court's gonna be like, you should have never, let's say the neighbors, because they're not gonna take it, that's like, good to go, I got what I wanted, but the neighbors take it to court. They're gonna turn around and be like, well, they didn't meet the conditions, why did you guys grant this? And again, probably the odds of it going to court are minimal, but I would assume again, especially because this is statutory
This is, let's, yeah.
requirements, that you err on the side that if this was going in front of a judge, in front of a jury, are you gonna be able to stand by behind your decision?
It's real,
And it's
I
hard.
don't wanna
because
say
you-
dicey, but it gets real. You have to be real careful how you do it,
Yes.
for what you allow for.
And
Because
it's
you
hard
wouldn't-
because you have people you know and you like and they are standing in front of you asking for things. But that's where I guess I would really ask yourself, like, if you're looking at an application and it doesn't meet these requirements, but you're like, man, I don't think this is a big deal or I don't care, then tell us, we'll amend the ordinance. Or we'll go back to planning commission who oversees the zoning ordinance and be like, hey, this came up, council was like, why is this even a rule? We need to look at it then.
Remind me, does planning commission see this variance?
No.
Or, no, they do not.
No.
Okay, I couldn't. So it doesn't go through them first and then.
No, for variances, zoning board of appeals is the statutory kind of final one and only decision. Whatever decision you make is final unless it's appealed to court. And some communities, sometimes actually do have the ability by ordinance to establish a completely separate zoning board of appeals, or it can be village council. We've opted that it be village council, which the size of our community, I think makes sense because you guys are kind of the final decision makers. If we were in a larger community, it probably, you would want a separate independent board.
There's separate zoning board of appeals county level for a few things.
Yeah, it's
The county
very-
board, the county commission is the zoning board. But then the zoning board of appeals is a separate entity altogether.
Now, we do have a separate construction board of appeals, which is a little bit different, so that would be. If they were appealing building code specifically, and they have some specific requirements, like to be on that board, you have to have construction knowledge. And background, it can't just like, I could not serve on that board or just anybody off the street. But even the, like, most common thing that goes to zoning board of appeals is a variance. But technically any staff appeal too, like if I make a decision, let's say I tell a resident. Well, this can you guys actually read, this is a good example. So we told Rex, this is the ordinance, this is how we interpret it. He then appealed our decision and said, thanks for your help, but I disagree. And it comes to you guys to then interpret, is that truly what we meant? Because sometimes when you look at ordinances, like, especially some of our older ordinances where we weren't there for it, so we don't know the intent when it was written. You just have to interpret what it says to the best of your ability. So then you guys would say either, no, we agree with staff and that's how we read it, or
Technically, a variance request is more of a.
that was.
Let's determine what your real interpretation of meaning.
Yes, yeah, in his case, for that sign, that's what he was actually appealing staff's decision, not applying for a variance. Which then a staff's appeal doesn't go through your findings, then you're just as a board looking at it and saying, what was the intent of this ordinance? Is that what it means? And it gets, again, a little bit hard because we probably weren't there when they wrote it, so we don't know what the intent was. Well, yeah, it might have been. I guess you have questions. Do you feel like it's helped, hopefully?
Okay. Say a dollar store wanted to build a lot. We made it. No. They didn't create that because the property owner is partial is the way you are doing it, so they didn't create it. Do we justify saying? Well, everybody on Facebook is so angry that there's a potential store going in, it's gonna put a grocery store out of business. So nobody's gonna go anyway. Could we reduce the minimum parking spaces?
Yeah.
Because per Facebook, nobody's gonna shop there anyway.
Yes.
Is
So
that, is that quote
when
justification?
you
to say
guys
that?
are looking at variances, you do factor in like you can hear public comment and listen to it. but the findings are ultimately what guide you. Now, if somebody comes in and like, let's say I'm the neighbor and I come in and I speak and I'm against it because it's going to drop my property value, and then I list like some pretty clear reasons that whatever is happening is going to decrease my value, and there's no reasonable conditions that could mitigate that, that's where you would factor it in. Now, if I come in as public, I have every right to do this. And I'm allowed to come in and say, I just don't like this and I'm not gonna shop here. That's great. I have all the right in the world to say that, but that doesn't mean you guys can hear it, you have to hear it. But it doesn't mean that you have to factor it in, because I've not given you some. You can, yeah. I mean, you can certainly, that's what public comment is for, is those people get an opportunity to come in and sway you and things like that. But again, if I'm meeting all these requirements and the only thing against my application is that people don't like it, technically you should be granting it, because nowhere in these conditions does it say the public has to like it. And I would, let's say I'm the applicant and you deny it because I had some people come out and publicly speak and I appeal it to court.
What is that?
Yes,
Then, probably like you said earlier, it's tough. We're a small.
it is, it is something, yeah.
Very cool thing. Appreciate that.
I have a question. When you have, we're in a residential area, you have building lots that are available. Somebody buys 2 lots next to each other. They combine that into 1 lot and then they build a large garage on that second area, or what would have been a second lot. That's allowed.
Because they've been combined.
Because now it's been combined. But they can never sell that separate building off separate, because
They would, in order to sell it separately, would have to do that split, and if they no longer meet zoning ordinance to be able to split, would be.
That technically makes an accessory building before.
Correct.
Right.
But even if they met the required setbacks, you can't have an accessory building on its own lot, so it would just be denied.
And they can't apply for variance because it's a self-created, they're creating hardship.
well, we have a couple instances of that. Ironically, they're on the very same street, almost across from each other. And that's one of the questions that I know one of the homeowners that live over in there had asked me, how can they build a garage on that lot? I said, well, it's no, my understanding is it's no longer a separate lot, it is combined to the house that's next to it, as they live in. And I said, when they combined it, it now becomes 1 lot and they can put a building down.
But as soon as they do that, they'll never be able to split it back up unless they were to demolish that building.
Or unless it wasn't that large to where it didn't prohibit building a house in front of it.
You still can't have an accessory building by itself.
So you wouldn't be able to sell the lot even if they built another house on it.
You have to be able to split the lots.
Which are in the house, with house.
If they-
Yeah,
if they-
it's
yeah,
true.
you're-
So then that would be a good,
Although now we allow accessory dwelling. So
That's
They
kind of
could-
my,
they,
That's why I
if they
asked.
built an accessory dwelling unit and then you split it off, but again, if they split it off, it has to meet setbacks, it has to meet the
Right.
minimum lot dimensions. If it doesn't, they're not eligible for a variance because it's all created. So again, there's a lot
could you
of,
impose a time limit on it, they have to build a house on it.
so
That's
Yeah.
part of the
Put some
stipulation.
conditions
So
on there.
we actually had this in Rollins, you could build a house, you could build your accessory structure and then your home had to be built within 1 year. And what happened is somebody did that and then they didn't build their house. So then we went to enforce it. Well, what do? Are you gonna build a house? So what's the enforcement? Yeah, they got a ticket, they got a fine, they paid the fine. But what do? It's still not in compliance because they didn't build a house. Who's right?
Which do.
It still doesn't have a.
She will go to Michigan.
Wait, and it was actually written in our zoning ordinance that you had 1 year to.
Because theoretically, I mean, feasibly, they could put a 20 by 30 accessory building and leave the rest of the lot that have to be 100 foot wide by 200 feet deep, which is plenty big enough to put a structure on, a house on, in front of it. You have your accessory building, because now we have that in our ordinances as allowable. I mean, there really wouldn't be anything, I don't know how you would prohibit them from splitting off that lot that they had combined at one point.
But it's not-
Well, but you would if they don't meet all the conditions, and I'm listing like the obvious ones, but our ordinance says that the garage can't be more than 125% of the home footprint. Well, if you build an accessory dwelling unit that's 700 square feet and your garage is 4,500 square feet, you exceed that, so you can't now split it because we allowed that accessory structure based on the home footprint over here that was part of that property. Plus, again, the setbacks, the lot dimensions, like, or our zoning ordinance says that you have to have 35% open lot space. Well, if you split that off and now you've got this accessory dwelling that is larger and the garage, but they only have 20% open space, you can't do it.
I don't know how you.
I know, I'm just sitting here like, wow, God.
I thought this.
Yeah.
If somebody did theoretically meet all of the other things, setbacks, lot coverage requirements. The smart thing to do when it would go to planning commission for plan split would for them to make it contingent upon. You building a home with an excellent screen, or that, we have things like performance guarantees that we can ask for. There are options to ensure that it does eventually meet zoning within a reason.
We did that at 40, but they didn't build a barn. They wanted to build an accessory barn before.
Yeah, and performance guarantees are a way, because you could say, look, you're gonna bond it out for a new house is whatever it is today, $300,000. You're gonna bond it out for that, and if you don't, we're gonna file on your bond and we're gonna build a house to bring it in compliance. But now there's a cost to that. I mean, bonds aren't cheap either. I would say generally, if people are combining to build an accessory structure, I'm not seeing them splitting it up later. And we even tell them when they combine, like, this is gonna have to say you're not gonna be able to sell the garage separate in the future and split this off again, and we're pretty upfront about that with them. Doesn't mean they can't try, but they'll have to meet all of those conditions.
It's good practice.
Yes, thank you. Questions, anyone? Very nice. Got it. Appreciate it.
Probably now that we did this, we won't get one for like
That's okay.
years.
That's okay. I agree, like, it's okay.
Now, we'll have this to go back to, so.
And this is something that, when these come up in the future, we can, any one of us, come in for the next question.
Yes.
And dig down into it and find out exactly before we go to the meeting and have the decision.
Yeah.
That would be best.
And there are additional trainings available. MSU has a webinar training specifically in ZPA that they can offer.
Yeah, other was interested, you have training in the budget, I tried to share that with you guys, when we get and I know, like, if you ever see something under your maps or something, submitting, we can share that as well.
Or probably in person, as to our zoning administrator hangs up the phone pretty. Further
I
off.
think it just depends on who's on the other line.
That's what I was gonna say.
I've never had an issue.
All right, any other questions on that before we, thank you guys for letting us see that, I go through it.
It does help.
One's locked.
So you ready for me to move on?
Yeah. you got it.
Okay. So I'd like to talk about the steel truss pedestrian bridge. I still do not have, I'm hoping to bring it up and read the final report from the engineers for you guys. I talked to Aaron again last week and he said they're working on it. What else? I mean, what are they exactly working on? I think I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure. All right.
They're trying to find a way to hear it.
I think that's part of it. I think they're trying to see if they can or they reduce the load rating. I think they're trying to make sure that that whatever they give you guys is, they feel confident in and kind of what the options are.
Well, after the meeting Monday night, the chief said that people are crossing it and it's against the law. Carl Harbeck said the sign is there, if not, it just says slippery when I.
You know, Carl things do make up.
Right, well, anyway.
Carl.
Signage.
Other Carl.
Signage says slippery when wet, so that's not, there are barrels there. So I'm curious.
Tape. Yeah, it's taped
Barrel.
with caution.
Yeah, well, people bypass that pretty easily.
Right.
So our point, the reason
Like
I'm
they
asking,
don't
the reason I'm
understand.
saying all this is this. Do we know if DPW might have a couple lengths of chain link fence they could strap up there? Behind the barrels or something and.
Why would it just close it right off?
Yeah, something to keep.
I was wondering the same thing as well as the sign, meaning could we take the 10 people sign off? I think that would,
Bridge closed.
it just simply say bridge closed and take out that 10 pedestrian thing. I know we shouldn't think we would have to do it, but I saw that too. I was at the same thing there. Where I'm kind of going, okay, it doesn't say bridge closed, even though we all get it.
But it was caution tape, I mean, that's.
Oh, no, I will.
I also
Watch tape in the
posted
barrel.
that the bridge was closed.
But I think
Yes,
as much as we can
we
see
can
why
do something else more, yes. I did talk to an individual too that maybe crossed and told him he was not to do that again. And that if I caught him, I was calling Chief Greenlee. And
that would not be your son, would it?
no,
Good.
no, it was not my son. I don't want to say, but it's a resident.
No, sorry.
To do a dog,
No,
I think of.
he was maybe riding a bike.
But it wasn't freewheel.
Maybe.
No, it wasn't freewheel, like it was just like.
Oh.
The negative side.
Well, you're saying you have some potential options.
No. I want to get you guys that report as soon as I get it. I was going to do some kind of press release, but I kind of waited because I want that report and then I wanted to talk to you guys. So I really haven't. All I did was a Facebook post. We can get it closed more securely, but
Well,
when MDOT had come to us for their US 223 scoping project, we went to, Brent, Laura and I went to Jackson and met with them and talked about, just kind of, they were explaining their timeline, what they were planning to do, wanted to know if we had any questions, and we had a ton of them. But one of the questions that we had asked them is there is a sidewalk on the current bridge. They're looking at completely reconstructing the, drive bridge there. So we had asked them, if you do that, would you guys be willing to put a pedestrian walkway on our bridge? Or on your bridge, there, because we said we're having some issues with our steel truss bridge, we need to replace it. And they actually said, well, we wanted to talk to you about your steel truss bridge, because if we reconstruct our bridge, we need additional clearance and they can't go to the north because it's the train tracks. They could, but it would probably be crazy, a lot more expensive than our pedestrian bridge. So that was a question that had come up. So I had a call with Kelby because he had we're gonna talk about lights too. He had some follow-up questions for me last week. And I asked him, I said, did you guys talk about putting this pedestrian walkway on your bridge if you reconstruct this? And he said, yeah, we built it into our design. And I said, okay, who funds that? Because there are portions of that project that will be the responsibility of the village. And he said, MDOT will fully fund the pedestrian walkway on our bridge, but the village is 100% responsible for removing your existing bridge. So we can talk about what you guys want to do, but that would be my recommendation, is that we fund the removal, which when we got the first engineer's report and we reduced the load rating, they had estimated that the removal was like 450,000, because total it was 900 some thousand to remove and replace. But then we remove it and then we work with MDOT to get a pedestrian crossing on their bridge, or they install it. And the reason that's my recommendation is, one, the cost, but two, the maintenance. So it's then their bridge. They maintain it. It's a safe pathway there. I think plan on keeping the art bridge for a long time. We can take care of that. I think the village's position, that makes the most sense. But if that's the case and we want to move in that direction, we need to get that removed before they start the reconstruction of that bridge. So there will be a period of time where we only have the arch bridge down there.
When do they plan to start?
They're going to, ask for funding in 30-31. But they think they will not get it, and they're gonna then re-ask in 31-32, which is what they think is their realistic time frame.
So
Construction 31-32.
Right, they get funding and then they would start that, yes. Once they get the funding, then they bid it out. It's only like immediate, so they have to bid it out and then start and things like that. So
Well,
We-
were gonna-
I was gonna say, that's my recommendation, but we could replace it. We can talk about some other things. I know when we when they inspected it, we reduced the rating, we had talked about getting like a TAP grant through MDOT. I don't know if you guys recall, I reached out to them. They kindly laughed at me and said, remember when we told you not to use that material? And they were like, you can apply, but good luck. So I don't really know what I just don't know what feasible other option.
Might they research since there's gonna be the road coming in?
Doing a TAP grant or something.
Might they reconsider that?
I can ask them, but based on my last conversation,
Well, I just thought since we can see where it's gonna progress too.
Yeah.
That they can say, well.
What options do we have to? $5 million to remove it.
Everybody jump on it.
So you're saying we don't have a short-term solution for this existing bridge?
Not
if
sure.
the engineer's report comes back with something, we may. I don't at this point have any short-term solution. And so you guys did ask me to talk to the previous company went under. I reached out to a company in Toledo about doing repairs. What I keep running into is that they're fearful or hesitant to do repairs because then like the loads, they have to have an engineer that's gonna sign off on it and say what the load rating is, and nobody wants to do that. That's the challenge that I'm faced to.
There's 3 of them there always.
I think Mike wants to get out there with a hacksaw.
Well,
Sounds good.
that's a question though. Yes, it's the 400,000 or whatever. They came in 2 pieces on 2 cranes and met in the middle.
And that's
Do we just bring
engineers,
cranes
I
in
mean,
and
we
dump it
could
on the
look at,
crane? Can we do it ourselves in house? If they strap it, they cut it,
You know,
worth it, is it worth it?
I think there's some people who might want to buy, 15.
We want to do minimal, exactly. And like you said, there could be people that be interested in that, so.
Well, what I was gonna say is we don't wanna do any repairs to it, even if Manning Smith comes back, he's not gonna take it out.
I wouldn't wanna do any substantial, no. I mean, if it was something cheap that would get us by, I don't know that you're gonna
I would be
get,
interested if we could, because it's
Yeah.
really just.
that would be my
He's
concern,
at-
what is
he's
the
at 50,000.
cost? Yeah.
You gotta buy it for 3 years.
But I don't want to sit unusable for 5 years either. That's gonna look really, really bad. Physically and perception wise.
When you say we
Well,
do,
we
is that
just-
DPW? Do we have equipment we can take that out?
We do not, we would have to rent equipment and.
Do we rent a crane or we have somebody?
No, it's not, no, we'd have to, I mean, for like some of that, we'd have to. Bid some of it out just because of OSHA and safety.
You would need 2 cranes minimum.
At the same time, is that what it did?
Yeah.
At the same time, that's okay.
And then, but if they just threw it on the bank on each side of our park, right, then does somebody come and cut it off and scrap it with a
Yeah,
DPW,
so-
is it private?
We'd have to have a lot more conversation about what it looks like to remove it, and that's something we could work on, because I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, Mike, but like some of the things. We don't want to be cutting it. It is still a public park. Like we don't want kids climbing on it. We have to really talk about how we're going to secure that area. There's some other things where would it then be safer and more cost effective to get somebody in just to do it? So we would have to really, if we're going to go ahead and remove it, we'd have to then investigate further I think what makes the most sense and what's the most feasible.
Mike, did it come in on flatbeds, tractor trailers, or?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, because. I'm just thinking, maybe taking it off, putting it on a flatbed and moving it. Off site, away from the park, like maybe the DPW.
You're right with that.
Or something like that, so that it's not, you don't have kids climbing on it. I'm not.
So it doesn't have to be left uncovered.
Thanks, Bill.
That's not a bad idea.
Do we know what the weight is by chance?
Thanks, man.
I do not. No. I can ask the engineers. I can look in their last report, see if I can do that too, because I know they had like this one. They quite a bit. Hopefully we.
So we're talking, I mean, decision now, but close permanently or try to get some sort of short-term repair based on the engineers.
Or you replace it. It's,
Well, I think we're all
Replace
replacing.
it.
no. So yes.
Well, MDOT wants it, even if it was to be left there, don't they want it moved?
Correct.
So-
They brought up the clearance issue and I'd have to confirm with Kelby because when he first brought that up, they were not 100% if they would need additional clearance or not. He was just asking. He was saying like, this may be a thing where we need additional, and we can't move the railroad tracks.
I'm pretty sure the way we can go 50-50 or some split with them versus bear the full cost. I don't know.
Were we moving it?
Yes.
But,
Yeah, I don't think.
because they're gonna put in a pedestrian lane on the bridge or.
Yeah, and I think that's what they would come back with.
But everything over, you do this part, so you're out of it, so.
And their project cost is, yeah, it would probably make most people say, so.
Well. Right, so if we don't do anything with it, what's the short term to get the guardrail moved and we open up the sidewalk portion? So at least have something.
I did ask them about that and I didn't really get an answer, but that was before it was closed. So I can certainly follow up with Kelby on that and see.
I think on that.
I think that would
At
be,
least then we have a,
I'm not for that.
you don't
I
want.
don't like that. I thought the pedestrian bridge was put in because that was dangerous.
Yes.
Along highway.
That was- I know it's an inconvenience, please don't get me wrong. However, now that there is concrete down and the,
Yeah, that,
and
Birch
there's,
Ridge is ADA. You have a
It's
full
ADA.
paved path. to
and
it.
it's, and you've got the
And
whole
you've got the
concrete
ramp
from
that
both
goes
sides.
up.
It's an
But it gives you an
inconvenience.
option, you don't
gets you-
have to if you don't.
No,
The
but
entire sidewalk is. Lit right at 223, not just that bridge, so.
no, but I just, man, I don't feel safe at that bridge. Also,
For the sidewalk.
Where, well, the
Yeah.
sidewalk and the location of the sidewalk, I mean, it's that roundabout. I mean, just walking that river running, I mean, you gotta peek your head out that building and looking, I mean, God, and that traffic. That speaks for itself. We all know the traffic is not slow. And you get one of those really big trucks. No, I'm not comfortable with it.
Did anybody ever, in the past, did anybody ever get hit by a vehicle while they were walking on that bridge? I thought they had.
So I was not here for that, but what I was told is that we had a parade. And a child went to get candy and their arm was ran over during the parade. So it wasn't during normal traffic, but I ran over by a parade. By some, yes, but again, that.
It was after the parade though, it wasn't during.
So like there was candy in the road.
No, I think it seemed like a bite. Just happened to. Swerve off and.
Yeah, I was, so I'm just telling you what I was heard.
I'm not,
But my understanding is that kid's arm got ran over and that's what prompted the discussion about doing
Because-
something.
The parade,
But again,
the parade would have been on that side, so
we
that.
have a bridge crossing. We've not, they don't have there's alternative roads.
oh,
But for convenience wise, if someone, again,
I did.
for me, if I can go straight through, I'll go straight
I
through.
would.
5-10 grade, yeah.
Now, if I had my dog, I probably wouldn't with my dog.
Or-
If I had a small kid, I would not.
I just got.
But if it were just me walking, I would walk that all day long, no problem. I would not be worried about it. So I mean, I think if we move the guardrail, it gives, I mean,
Options.
yeah, it's their choice.
Oh, and hey man, as long as we're not liable. Oh, Village of Blissfield went ahead and moved that guardrail. Is that MDOT responsibility? Whose responsibility? Somebody. I see. We got enough DAs around here. Okay, we see that, right? By somebody crossing the bridge of this. For now, 2 instances of 2 D bans. Okay, all we take is ice. Who would be the moron that would walk on that ice along that stretch? Somebody would. They're gonna fall off it. They're gonna get run over. I just can't. I hate.
I think in the
I hate
winter
that we have
time,
to
that
do that.
sidewalk, that part of that sidewalk's probably covered with ice and snow with the clouds.
You would think that would stop them. Yeah,
Think they walk on the road because of that?
I think you have a lot of.
Yeah, people walking
Yes.
the road right now.
I was gonna say, you have the guardrail and people are already, somebody lifted a baby stroller over the guardrail and walked it.
So see, that's
So
why.
they're already, they're doing it even if we don't do anything.
Well, let them do that on their own then. I guess how I look at it is that if we move that guardrail or MDOT, whomever, then that just enables that to happen even more. I just, that might be the better way versus, look. I mean, if we open it up, well, the village opened it up. Must be fine.
And that's stuff, though, you know, what I mean, it's their
Well,
bridge, their.
let's go with the
guardrail.
perception again. The perception will be the village did it, and the perception will be that we condoned it, and we're advocating for it to happen. So I'm gonna kind of go back to even with the state of trust, that's for good. I think because we don't have a sign that says, don't cross. Even though the normal person would know that, I think that that's still
Maybe it's something else.
something that's blatantly has.
Road-
Don't
road
cross.
closed, yeah, barricades.
Bridge
We
closed.
had those.
Yeah, we'll get something.
And even take off that 10 take down, I know I've already stated that, we stated it, but take off that 10 people on there. Cause what they'll say, oh my God, so there's a sign that says 10 people, I was only one person, well, there are barricades on, well, I did not. You know, I'm going with that, yeah,
I think the gate or the plywood works.
yes.
That's what-
See,
I'll talk to Bryce and see what we can do, and then I can like
Bridge closed.
sign or get something from Aaron too, that.
Didn't we talk about it? We did open the pedestrian bridge on the bridge. If we put rails, or MDOT would not allow us to do that, like a rail.
I know what you're saying, alongside.
Yeah, they did say no to that. I do remember that. Now, when they rebuild it, it will have some kind of divider. separation. No runabout on the bridge, but,
Oh, they're gonna put it here.
but we might have one at Lane and 220, no, I'm just kidding. That will be the next one.
Entertain a quote though to see what it would cost.
No.
I would like to see it.
A quote for what?
I might be always,
I don't even want to spend 50 grand on it.
I don't want to spend near that, but it would be less.
I rode across that bridge 1,000 times.
I think we're gonna run into the,
Maybe for the footbridge. Well, but does the bridge have 4 lanes?
oh, I thought you meant reopen the steel truss bridge.
No.
Well, that's what I thought you meant.
Something, no, the,
Okay.
the sidewalk.
The sidewalk. on the
Oh, the
bridge.
sound. Man, I hear you.
I hear you
I
too,
just think
I'm
people
just,
got really dumb.
well, people have gotten
I
real
get it.
litigious, that's part of the issue.
That's wiring. And maybe that's where, maybe that's where it's more. I could see them just saying to the village, okay.
Here's your bridge, Glenn, here's your stringer. So we've got.
I mean, I know it's not good.
They've got plenty of abutment here. Is there a solution where it could bear?
Oh, I see.
abutment, right?
I see what you're saying.
And keep,
Yeah, and I
Keep the
think the
string.
problem we're gonna run into again with, because when we looked at the repairs before, is nobody wants to sign off on it, because then they're taking the liability. That's what we keep, right, that's where we kind of keep running into issues. And we can have it engineered, but then we're gonna be paying a boatload of
I
money.
wouldn't be nervous of signing off on something like that.
You said you wouldn't be,
I would be,
Yeah. Oh,
because then you take.
sign yourself up for a
You're
lawsuit.
taking responsibility for the whole bridge of that.
Yeah.
No, a company. I mean,
He's gonna fund a new house.
Right, but that's what I think we're running into,
Right.
is they look at it, and they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna do something and then guarantee it, and then something happens, it comes back on me.
So we want, it sounds like permanently close it then, like that is the plan. Okay, then what's the next step, right? You're looking at taking it down now?
That would be my,
We start putting our
Yes,
capital.
All these, all these
Yeah.
projects that we kick down the road and it costs us 3 times more. So my thought would be, they ought to be that flatbeds and a couple cranes.
Mhm.
Figure out how much that's gonna cost to get a couple cranes in here, wait till the back on flatbed.
Yeah. Get it done as soon as we can.
it'll take longer to take it down, we'll put it up, probably. Take it apart.
okay, well, I'll kind of move forward with that plan, continue to share information as I'll work on some more. I'll maybe talk to a few people on costs to remove, because right now we're just basing costs off engineers estimate. And then as soon as I get that report, as well, I'll share that with you guys, we'll put something. Some signs and stuff up.
I think
It would control demolition and when it drops the river.
when they placed those bridges, that bridge, did they do it from the roadway or did they do it from, okay?
They close the 2 lanes on this side, just like we do for parades and
Okay.
2 cranes, 1 on each
So
side.
we'll have to get them
Strapped.
permits, we'll probably have to get a needle permit. So.
Yeah, literally just came down and bolts, it compresses, so bolts hold it.
Hey, Is there anybody that ever wants to practice demolitions?
Every time they do it, it's practice.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I could, you know, like, okay,
No, I get
example,
what you're saying though.
homes that are, okay, so
They
homes that
burn.
burn for the practice of that. I wondered if there's anybody that wants to have a practice demolition.
So. Be hard with the bridge there too. I mean, like, my kids will take some tannery down there.
Like I said, it goes over the limits, your real problem.
So the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the 223 signal replacement. I should have printed these pictures larger. I apologize.
I was able to read it.
Yep, I was stressed, you're stressed on 1.5.
Yeah, so when I talked to Kelby last week and we were talking, one of the questions that he wanted to ask me about was this traffic signal. So they have it in their budget to replace the traffic lights at Monroe and Lane Street. But they will replace them like they are now. So the picture on the right is what it is now, which is just a pole and then the wire going across. So that is how they'll get replaced. He wants to know if we want to do these metal arms. So the one on the left is the example of that. And you can see in 2000.
Really, like a wire, I don't know.
Yeah. For the village of Blissfield, yes. Downtown Toledo and all that kind of stuff have those big old arms. I just think it keeps us, I don't know.
Small town USA.
It does.
$2026, it's $200,000 per arm per mast. So you're looking at 4 of those. And that's
For
20.
more of them? I thought it meant per intersection.
No, that's for your, to upgrade your mast.
Yes, see, no, but they're doing it at Division Street, right now, so who's paying for that? Is Adrian? No. I call her block. I would like a few more questions on that.
Is that what they're doing it?
They're doing the turn lane, so whether they do, I don't know if they'll do the full or not.
At Division 223.
Is that federal funding? Cause it's lower US.
Good. So here's my pictures, right? So here's new and old, right, at the same time. I mean, what looks better?
That looks bad because it's new
Yeah.
and old.
Yeah. No, I know that.
Which, again, I don't wanna pay that, but
I like the arms, I think they're.
I mean, could we do just one across, like kitty corner, because that's how they technically are now, right? You've got pole, and then you do an arch right across.
I can, again, I don't know. I can ask him.
Rather than 4.
He's telling me it's when he asked me this question, he was saying it'd be two at each intersection, because you have one each direction, because you have, it goes across part of the street, you have your lights for this direction, and then it's on the same side for this direction, so that they can see it, because you can't place it in the middle or.
And it's ugly there because the right of way is very minimal. So
I think it's cost prohibitive.
So that's my concern. And I guess we're talking about this too. So they're looking at this total project and they're gonna do water, sewer. The service lines on 223 are lead. So we're wanting to do the service lines. GDA is talking about if they do road diet of some kind, possibly doing some streetscaping with like parking. I don't really know fully. I don't know that they know what that entails yet, but some streetscaping as well. And then paving from Wellsville all the way to Jefferson, and then complete bridge reconstruction. So MDOT will fund all of the road work. They will fund 90% of the water main. We fund 10% roughly. We fund all of the sewer and we fund all of the service lines. So they'll do the water main, but the sewer is them. Or I'm sorry, the service is us. And MDOT will do all of the storm sewer. So this is
that does all the
roadway,
all of the
storm sewer,
all of storm.
90% of water main.
Okay.
We would be responsible for the 10% main,
Okay.
100% of the service lines, 100% of the sewer. And then
Storm, I mean,
sanitary, yes, sorry.
both mains and
Yeah, we're
leads or mains.
Yes,
systems,
yep.
okay.
100% sewer.
100% sanitary.
Do all.
Okay.
And any streetscaping we want to do.
So they keep it in 4 lanes.
They're not, no,
Committee it.
no, they will have to do a public hearing and there'll be some other steps and get community involved. But what they would like to see is that it's one lane each direction with a center turn lane.
So
That as well, and again, that where we need to be involved in this because
And they'll have to have an open house or like a public hearing, open house and hearing. There will be a lot of community involvement in that before they just do it. But ultimately,
they're going to
it
decide.
is a
yes, there are a lot of right turns.
That's what's gonna happen.
The road coming into town down by these kitchens, it's already 2 lanes and a turn. So
no, it's
basically,
just 2 lanes there. I come back to say the country market is 2 and 2. So then it goes past Wellsville, it goes to 2 lanes. But they actually have a project plan, so they're doing from Ogden Highway to Wellsville, and it'll be 2 lanes with a turn. And that's actually, I thought they were starting that this year, but they haven't put any notices out for that.
2 lanes with a turn lane or 1?
I'm sorry, 1 lane each direction with a turn lane. I apologize. That's what I meant.
so I guess my original question was, what are they going to do with that extra lane space? Is it going to be street parking?
There is a.
It's
It's
just gonna be-
a balance because our lanes are only like 11 feet right now and they should be
Right.
wider.
Yeah, so the lanes would just be the appropriate width and it would be 1 each direction and then your turn, which you don't have the turn lane now. And then it stays that way until you get down to the railroad where then it's the 2 lanes and then you pick up 1 or not 2, 1 lane each direction. And then by L&W, you pick up the turn lane. So it would just basically, they're wanting to carry through all the way a single lane and with each direction in the turn lane. Is what they're trying to do. That's what they're going to a lot of their places.
I like the idea, but we have a lot of right turns in this town. Imagine what that's gonna do to traffic.
Yeah, hopefully
Because
slow
if
it
you're trying
down.
to turn on the Main Street or something, you're.
Because they're
you're
going way
following
too fast
everybody.
anyway.
Yeah.
It'll slow people down.
I like it, honestly. I love it. I think it slows people down. They did it in parts of Tecumseh, but there's still 2 lanes on.
They live in the main core of downtown Tecumseh.
I
Think about wanting to get, so you're coming eastbound, and you want to turn to go to the school or something in the morning, but you've got the one car that's gonna go straight, you're literally bottlenecking everybody at that stoplight, so people can't turn to keep the traffic flowing, right?
Yeah, well, go down through the park, huh?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Again, that's why I would like to see traffic study, computer studies. There's models that can represent what we have versus.
Yeah, I think they'll go through all that
Yeah.
too. In fact, I think that'll be in part of their scope.
And I know, Laura wants parking and stuff, but again, the width of it right away, you're never gonna.
Well, that's the other thing,
You're not
like,
gonna-
and the
Yeah.
streetscaping is then so if we wanna put parking, we're responsible for the paving of the parking, the striping of the parking, that's all then our cost. Yes.
Because if you go downtown and McDonald's, look at your 4 lanes and then it goes to 3, it's literally the same width. I mean, it merges in, but the curb is straight shot. Yeah. It's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be an expensive ugly project.
I think our portion's gonna be like 8.
What about utility wise? Power, fiber, phone, blah, blah, blah. Can we require that to be moved and could have to be relocated? Can we say consumers? Let's clean up the alleyway, right? Let's
I don't know that we can't, cause that's on our right. And I can ask Kelby if they.
Can you get that?
Kelby, yes, KELBY.
Oh, I saw her,
Enlarged,
but I did not.
Yes.
Kelby. What'd you say?
enlarged.
Oh, and like, Kelby, that's his real name.
That's a different-
Kelby. Thank you.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot more, I think, talks about this moving forward and as they they're, again, they don't have their scoping or costs or anything. Completed at this point, we had our first meeting in Jackson, we actually went back a second time, but it was basically a summary of the first meeting because they were supposed to start the scoping and then everything got pushed back, so then it was honestly kind of silly, we drove there and we were like, that's a waste of time. So yeah, no kidding.
Like a mediation.
DDA has set aside some funding to do the street sweep project down the line. Obviously, it's not gonna be near enough, but.
Yeah, they have 20,000 right now.
And everybody has different philosophies, mentalities, priority projects, so. I think this streetscape enhancement could do a lot economically for Blissfield. If we do it right, so again, it's how we balance it, do we take some back from economic development and reinvest it into the physical bricks and mortar kind of improvements that we look for, that there's ways of shifting funding. Things like that in the future. All options are on the table, think of that.
So in the meantime, I need to give him some direction if we have a preference on, because what they'll do is they'll build out the mast arms in their scoping. If we're saying kind of like right from the get-go that we're not gonna be able to afford that, we don't wanna pay for it, then they'll just leave it at the wires. They already have designs for both, so it's just a plug and play swap, but they're trying to go through all of their scoping and findings to get a cost for them, and part of their scoping, and they're paying for this, is to give us a cost for what we're wanting to do as well.
You said,
Trying to put in their specifications for whoever's gonna bid,
you mentioned that Upper Adrian on Division 223, that's what they're doing. And why do you think that Adrian's not paying for that?
And always a dumb down project. Their lights. I don't know if they're gonna put. I know they've got a new base on.
Whose lights are
ours, so.
They're NDOT's lights.
Yeah.
And NDOT will replace them. It's part of their, and they'll fund it 100% with the wire option, which is what we have now. So they'll replace with that and they do that because that's the most affordable way to do it. So they're gonna replace them as part of the project. If we upgrade them, we have to pay for those mast arms. Because they're essentially what Kelby has said is your upgrading it to make it look nicer and aesthetically, but we're trying to do it the most cost effective way, so you then pay the difference.
Even if we focus on maybe the Main Street, because Edmond Road would be easier to do down the line. But it
Just like,
just lane right now.
and that is enough, yeah, we could say we just wanted it the one intersection. So it's up to you guys.
I would love to see more funding capabilities. Again, it's a federal highway, it's federal.
And I can ask
They would
him,
talk to-
maybe that's an opportunity to apply for a TAP grant or some other funding
I see, okay.
around that, because they didn't say we were never eligible for funding, they said we're not doing funding. Great. And so I can certainly ask that question too, but the flip side of that is it's not, grants are never guaranteed.
Right.
But that could be a possible, or we could tell them we have an interest in doing at least Lane Street and we want to explore grant options, but we want to reserve the right not to commit to that too, if we can't afford it. And which he knows municipal budget, if we get to the time we bid this out and we're like, just kidding, we can't afford that, they're not gonna be like, well, too bad you told us yes already. I wouldn't think. They know.
I guess I just, with the historical part, as much like I was looking at the arms as more. Yeah, that's why. I thought the historical people would like, or you know what I'm saying, the downtown area would like that more of that.
Maybe we should have an arrow thing, right, that moves, or only a green and a red with no yellow. I know you remember when that mean. Not, you know, but
We didn't need lights.
and then, but I say the Jones corner one, because that's only, you know, that's only across one. And then
Like,
outlets,
you-
yeah.
is what you're saying?
Yeah, 45.
Okay. I can ask about that too.
Okay, so then,
That's probably what they would do anyways, wouldn't they?
No, they're proposing 2 mass arms. Cause they want them, yes.
Where do you pick up the direction for going north and south? Where do you pick up the lights for those?
And that's what's the problem there, is because you got the old hotel there. And there's, you know, barely an alley there.
that's what I'm saying, is there,
And it needs to be on that side because of the traffic.
I think one arm has 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you
Like
have
a 90.
an arm that, yes.
we had enough
That
room
makes
to put
sense.
that there? Oh, okay, with the historic
Yeah.
signs there?
Well, that's the right of it, because Ben's technically owns a lot, some of the street, right?
Yes, they
Remember,
do.
and there's traffic like there that needs it.
Mhm.
But it's tight there. It's almost reversed where it should be.
I don't know if you can fit in your arm things. The arm things.
I don't know. Can we hand it off of that? I guess I already got it here, but it won't be long, but. So I heard, ugly discussion on the streetlights downtown, right?
Yes.
What's the ugly discussions for streetlights
They came in as bronze instead of black.
and white then? What's up?
So, we submitted I went back through, so let me back. Last week, they started the streetlight project and Saunders was here, had to obviously pull the old lights down. And, had some questions come up about the bases, because if you guys recall, they're pouring those concrete bases 3 inches in height to get them off the sidewalk so that assault's not getting under them. And then about the lights. So we went down there, actually DPW did. And they opened one of the boxes up and they were gonna see how they could carry them down here to bring them and get him the base information, and they were bronze. So Brent sent me a picture. So I was in a meeting, I came and pulled all the stuff and went and looked at them. Down there myself and we opened, I said, okay, did we get like, maybe it's 1 and the rest are black. So we opened a few boxes and they were all the bronze. So I called, Brad with Gross Electric, which is who we ordered the lights through, and then Saunders and Al are doing the actual construction and work. And I said, hey, I pulled all this stuff. I said, I sent you, my emails say that getting quotes for black lights and included the specs. Brent sent you a spec sheet and his spec sheet says color black. And like everything we sent you said black on it. They got a quote from an additional distributor and that said black. I go, and now all of a sudden we got these bronze lights. So I want to know, and they ended up going with the second distributor, by the way. So they Gross Electric switched who they got the lights from to this other company. So I go, I want to know what we're gonna do. And he's like, okay, let me look into it. I'll call you back. So he looked into it and calls and he's like, well, you guys signed off on the spec sheet and it says ABC, which stands for antique bronze. And I'm like, okay, where, like I went through the spec sheet before when I going through everything. And I go, I do see the ABZ on there. I go, I thought that was a part number or something. I said, how would I know that ABZ is the antique bronze? I said, they didn't send me any kind of like code sheet. I said, it doesn't say color / ABZ
Right.
or, dye
Okay.
ABZ. It
Right.
Right. I said, nowhere on there. I said, how am I supposed to know what that is? I'm like, I go, honestly,
Between them, you give you choices.
right, it doesn't give you choices or anything. And I do agree, I'm the one that signed off on the spec sheet and we went through it. And I go, so how would I know that? And I go, and how, I said, I go, honestly, I thought that was a part number or something, because there's a bunch of numbers and then it says ABC. I said, and how do I know that that B doesn't stand for black? Like, you're telling me that something that, how am I supposed to know that? I said, in every communication we've had with you, we asked for black lights. I go, so,
Shame on them.
he said, well, what do you want to do? And I go, I want to know what our options are. I
About
go,
black lights.
I want to know what it's going to take to get black lights and how long it'll take. I said, or I want to know if they can pick those lights up and they can take them back because they do like a heat paint or whatever. I go, they can repaint those black.
It doesn't have the bulbs on it, you're just talking
Right,
about.
it's just the poles. I said, and they could repaint them. And what's that time frame gonna be? I'm like, or I wanna know if they're telling me, SOL, it's your fault, you signed up on this. I go, I wanna know our options.
Mhm.
So then, and to be fair, I took over this project last week because I've been helping with it, but I took it over because Laura's out and then she's going to be on vacation. So I said I'd take over the management of it. So I didn't call her at first. I was waiting to hear back from Brad because I didn't want to bother her because she was off trying to do something before surgery. And two, I didn't really know what the options were. Well, she called, so I told her what was going on. I said, but I was waiting to call you because I don't really know what this company's going to come back and say. And I want to know, like, if they say, because Brad said, well, your initial time frame for the lights was 10 to 12 weeks. So if they can get you black, you're probably going to have to wait 10 to 12 weeks again. And I'm like, those are the things I want to know, Brad. So anyway, I talked to Brad on Friday. He had sent everything over to them, the distributor, and they were reviewing it. They were having a team meeting to review it. He was going to get back to me. So then this morning I called him and he didn't answer, but he did email me back right away. And he said, I'm in a meeting. I still haven't heard from them. I'm going to be following up with them. I'll call you as soon as I know. And I've not heard from him today.
Well, he's gonna say, you're out of luck.
So that's what we're waiting to kind of see what our options are. So I talked to Brent about it though, and the lights actually in the parking lot back here and the ones that were downtown were antique bronze. And then we painted them black. And then we've been repainting the Hanover lights on 223 because I think we've talked about this before. Those lights just have not held up very well at all. And those need to be repainted again. So we had talked about that. What we could do is install bronze and then instead of repainting Hanover's black is paint them the bronze to then match. But again, we were kind of waiting to see. So in the meantime, we had already started removing the lights. So I did tell that, like, we already don't have power to one side of the street. I'm like, go ahead and finish that side of the street because stopping isn't like, we're not gonna put the old ones back up. We had already removed them. So they got the one side and the concrete is all set right now. It does have to set up before we can put a light on it because especially on the corners, because the weight of the light. I mean, it's like vermin kind of set up, but just to make sure it's all the way. And Saunders is just waiting for us to kind of move forward and we're waiting to make a final decision until we hear from Brad. which hopefully will be tomorrow or.
And so they're not gonna touch that side because we still have lights, light on that side, right? We're gonna make that be, so we figure out what we're gonna do.
Right. Which would make sense to wait.
Right, yeah, we just have the one side, like I said, we had already had 4 lights were removed and then.
So who makes the ultimate decision on this? Is this something that the DDA design team makes the decision on? Is this something you're making a decision on?
Well, I was going to, but I guess
I'm asking how.
Trust your judgment.
that's how I would normally do it. Now, if it has, the project is funded, DDA paid for the lights themselves and the, like actual construction work the village is paying for. So I do have approval and like if we had to do a change order. But I'm not, at this point, that's not that's not a factor, that's not what's being proposed. Then I would come to council and say,
I
hey,
see, okay.
look, if it's more than $5,000, because I do have the approval of that. But again, at this point, I'm not looking at a change order. You guys want me to handle that differently, but that's how I was gonna handle
I
it.
don't wanna see bronze lights put up there. We ordered black, you guys,
All the communications.
everything should be black. MDOT put black there when we did the TE grant. The benches are black, the bollards are black. For consistency's sake, it should be the same. We should get, I'm tired of
Yeah.
wanting this, then we get that, we've dealt with that how long?
I did sign off on it.
Well, you may have signed off on it. Okay, what do you sign off?
Communication was black.
Everything's black. And how would you, so you're saying there was a number and then what was the initials?
Just
A, B,
you
C.
part of it. Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I
You don't
seriously
have
thought it
to
was a
do
part.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Because
You know
it's like a series of numbers and an ABC. And it does, again, had it said colored ABZ, I would have been like, hey, what does this stand for?
Yeah, you would not have known that.
I just truly had no idea.
How close are the stock numbers, SKU numbers, whatever, between black and bronze? Is it like one digit?
I,
Probably BK versus BZ or something.
this is I did take a picture. Anyone wants to see.
I think, right. Well, I think that this is in our favor, or hoping that it's in our favor, the part about, I think they probably realized,
And I will say, I mean, and Brad with Gross Electric is like, I agree with you now.
see, if he's agreeing with me, they'll really say that.
So, I mean, and he even said, he's like, how would you know that? Like, they didn't send, because that's what I go, they didn't send me like a cheat sheet or chart that said ABZ stands for this or.
No, then I would hold up and say, no, we want our black ones, and if it has to wait, it has to wait. What do you do?
I agree. I mean, get what you order.
Yeah.
Don't settle for what they say.
Right.
That's it. I didn't know what how it would work.
And the ugliness is, we've seen them repainted, how they look, when they used to be a lighter bronze, and then they come through in the paint, and then they fade, and you can kind of see through. Again, I wanna do this, I wanna do it right. I don't
Now, I
wanna do
will
it.
say, though, that the light pole outside the village office fell down and we replaced it. It was bronze. That's the color we had. We never painted it. Not one single person said anything about it or noticed. And it was bronze the whole time from the time it was replaced. And that was when James was on council.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that moved it to the sidewalk.
Did we buy a new one though, or is it one we had?
It was one that we had, but it was the
bronze.
same bronze color as the ones that we have and not a single person noticed it.
But you didn't notice it.
Never had. We have.
They're bronze out back.
It's a lighter brown.
Well, that's the color that was outside is because it was the same color as those.
I say.
I'm just saying,
toward-
food for thought, just sharing
Yeah.
that it, because I understand what you're saying as well with everything being black and I don't disagree. I'm just, when I get all the information and we look at this, like, I don't know that that's the worst thing either. I don't know. We'll see what Brad comes up with and go from there. And I can certainly send an email out to you guys and let you know.
I would argue your point.
Well, I was pretty firm with Brad last week. I was pacing in the supply room and talking to him and I was like.
No,
I just
so
mean
you
that
guys got them.
If they
You
give
was
us a
sweet, they were black. You kept them all together. So they
I
won't
will
get
be
broke.
completely honest, it never even crossed our mind that they weren't black.
No.
And we purposely, like, we put them, when they were delivered, they were all packaged in boxes and we purposely said, Brent and I talked about it, we're like, put them in there, leave them because then they're protected, they won't get
Yeah.
damaged until we're ready to install them. So I mean, we did have the thought that we're not touching them.
Yeah.
But again, not one time was I like, these are not black. They've never,
Who would have
because
thought?
every communication that we had, other than
Yeah.
this spec sheet that said ABCs said black. And again, I
I
had
think it's the
no
fault on
idea
that.
that
When you get the
ABCs.
spreadsheet.
Either Gross Electric or the second supplier transposed or put the wrong coat down. So to be okay, they had ABC and they never bothered.
And Brad did confirm the first supplier had black, and the first
there you
supplier
go.
sent the specs to the second
There you
one.
go.
And yeah,
So again, I
Yes.
think, like, I wanna be honest, I signed the spec sheet that it's antique bronze unknowingly, but again, I had no reason to think.
It was black.
Black.
you didn't sit there going.
Right. Get you.
It's just frustrating that everything we do, we ask for one thing, but we get something totally different.
It's, I think, partially the world, like, just, it's so hard. Everywhere with contractors. That's what's going on with those, so, again, hopefully, I was hoping to hear from Brad today, he's probably tired of me calling him, but I'll call him in the morning too. I'll keep calling him until I hear.
Well, and another note of keeping the call, I'm hoping that we hear something soon from Dave regarding school and the tennis. know
I
you
talked
did.
to him too, actually,
Because
last.
it's the summer, I know, that.
Yes, and I've been putting it in there as a reminder to him, but he and I actually talked on the phone because he had two things I was waiting for.
Okay,
One was super easy and he did get that done and I'm like, Dave, council's asking, the school's asking, I'm like, we need to get this done. He did say, he's like, I'm sorry, it's been pushed down, he moved it up. So hopefully, yes, and I'll keep following up with him too.
What exactly are we looking for right now? Get on that.
But he's supposed to be doing a new agreement for us where because we talked about it's not gonna be tied to the tennis
That's
courts,
right.
it's gonna be tied to
The usage.
facility rental and usage, and then the tennis courts are supposed to then be split costs for maintenance and repairs and things. Is what
But we
we,
could still relook at that, yeah, this is.
yeah, this is a
Who leaves
draft,
the door open?
This-
oh yeah, it's not a done deal yet, it's still a matter of they have to agree and we have to.
and it'll have a term and things like that as well. So I sent Dave all the information and was like, I really need you to draft this up. I did tell him like I can take a stab at it, but I'm like, you'll probably do more editing than if you just write it yourself. So he said he would do it, but I know he's had a lot going on, especially with Phil passing and he took all of his clients on and things, but I did tell him. he
Oh,
did
we're
it.
still paying them, so.
Another note, real quick one, I gotta tell you, I don't know, I think you were CC'd on that. Email I sent out to Taylor Good.
Oh,
You
yes.
got it. Yeah. She is absolutely rocking.
That's what I hear.
I'm telling you, the agenda. Right on time, the minutes, right on time, those are the most thorough minutes I have ever seen from Parks and Rec. Outstanding job, and I told her that she's doing
How many hours should we do?
fantastic.
20 hours a week is what she's working, which is what we told her we wanted. We need to add the adult programs back because the other day, she's just doing so good that I think we were hesitant
She's so
to do it,
efficient.
but yeah, she is very efficient and, the other day, she always finds something to do too, like she does not just sit there. But the other day she was talking about, and what she has going on and what's available.
I mean,
And she's taken over. I don't do any Parks and Rec, social media. I don't do any of the website. She does all of that.
That's
And I was doing all of that.
That's
So,
Alright, so I apologize to you all. I didn't think 20 hours.
oh no,
well, I think if we add the
once we get
adult,
into the adult,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
we're gonna be okay, but she's, I mean, she's just.
So we cut those and just, I think we had the fear, we didn't want to set them up to not be successful. So I think that was our fear too, but I think we're finding that.
We
it
need the right person.
absolutely-
think we can do the adult with still in the 20 hour?
Yeah, I think she's good. I think she's the right person in there.
Okay.
I do too. But I will say, I do think that it's important for us to give her a full year, like that's what we said we would do. And so then she has a good understanding, she has a good handle on things, she knows kind of what's gonna be expected for the next season with youth programs, and then we could add that back in. But yes, I absolutely think with the 20
So
hours.
she's delegating.
Oh.
So,
She's, well, one of the things that we were sure about was the 3-on-3 basketball. And we said, hey, if you want
And she's got a
Stop that.
subcommittee.
to, she's got the subcommittee and she's on it. I mean, she
She's
is.
already advertised it.
It's out there.
Yeah, registration is open for that. She has all of the refs covered for the rest of
That is.
soccer season.
Yeah, it's always been.
Unless somebody gets like sick or something last minute, but again, it's,
The striping, the taking care of the fields. Are you kidding me? The equipment,
She's been out there every Saturday for games. In fact, she even traveled, I believe it was to either Idaho or Dundee, one of the two, for the 8-year-old and up.
she even scrambled. Dundee had some issues the first couple weeks because their fields were flooded and they were canceling games. And the first week it didn't affect us, but then when it did, she worked with them and got them
They
switched
came here.
to Blissfield and then got coverage for refs last minute too.
no, she's rocking it. She really is. That was,
Yeah.
Good stuff. So it's always nice to hear that good stuff. Yeah.
And she walks around and talks to people here at the games. On Saturday mornings.
Yeah, I've got a lot of residents who
Good feedback.
give feedback, yeah.
that's Rotary, you guys talked at the Rotary Festival. Power.
Yes, we
Oh,
did.
So how's that coming on the village and
We got their special event application. We actually have a staff meeting this Wednesday. So I'm gonna be taking it to staff and then it will come to you guys, assuming we approve it, which I think we will. And then, it'll come to you guys for approval. We budgeted money for them, and they're not, I've given them the budget, told them anything more than that, they're responsible for, but. They do have a carnival this year, they are not doing a beer tent. They're hoping they'll do fireworks, they'll have the kids corner, they wanna do the parade. Downtown again, and so they'll be camping for the carnival. At the park there in the back parking lot. They're wanting us to do trash again, which is in the budget. Yeah, everything else is pretty much the same. They're wanting to have goobers back with the animals to be the same as last year. Yeah, I think for the most part, it's.
And they know that
pretty
what
much the same
they-
minus the beer tent.
You stated that they know how much we have budgeted.
Yeah,
for
I
them.
sent
Anything
them,
beyond that. You gotta.
yes, yeah, I sent them, yeah, I sent them our budget and I broke it down for them. And Rick's response back to me on that was, he said, if that's what we had last year, we're good.
you and Steve and those guys, Brent, they have, right, I mean, we want to make sure that the communication is there. So.
Yeah. They're planning to completely, fence off the road down here. They put barricades last year and that didn't. And that was an issue because people were removing them. So I know that was one of the things we wanted to see.
We're
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah, I know. we were
Bridge closed.
Yeah.
There wasn't a sign that said road closed, so. But, and then I did help them with the application this year. So, and I told them, I'm like, the whole intent of this is then next year, all you have to do is go in and update your dates and make sure nothing's changed.
And if it has tweaked it.
Right.
We could pull the boards off that bridge.
Can I just say it out?
Oh.
Bridge open. Fourth this.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
You think there was time to say, wait a minute.
Beware of crocodiles across the trail.
Where's my flag?
So are you looking at, yeah, did Aaron say anything on that bridge, like ETA on a report or?
He said that when he sent over that email that I forwarded, he said they were working on it and were gonna get it to us as soon as possible, but
It's ugly discussion topic for the public, so.
Well, and I think that you had alluded to earlier that maybe they're trying to come up with this is what you could try, this is what you could try, so that, yeah.
I'll check with him tomorrow and see if he has an update about